Hi guys, so today we're going to round up our full tutorial with a look at video calling and Microsoft Planner. So by the end of the video you'll know how to schedule a call and all the options you've got to do that, how to set up a plan, all the benefits of putting your actions in Planner and how you would go about starting to use it. I'm Gavin Jones, I work for a Fortune 500 company as Transformation Manager. All the tips put on YouTube have come out of real life examples, and we've got a new video coming out on Teams every Tuesday, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified every time I release a new video. Just very quickly, big thank you to everyone that's subscribed so far. We've now reached over 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you to everyone that's subscribed so far. If you haven't already, we've got a free download of the training deck that we would use, so if you want to use that to train some other people in your organisation or just to get a lot of the tips written down all in one place, make sure you click the link in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into the last part of our full tutorial. Okay, so here we are in the test team and we're going to jump straight into a video call just to show you some of the in-call controls. The main way that you are most likely to join a scheduled call is if someone's put a meeting in Outlook with a Teams link and you join it from there. So we haven't got one set up. Let's go and add one. We would do new meeting request, other people wanting the call, so I'm just going to add myself, put a subject in, and then we'll leave the location blank because we're going to click this Teams meeting button in Outlook, which appears when you install the Teams desktop app. That'll add in a Join Microsoft Teams meeting for us, and we're going to send the invite. And when the time of the call comes around, you'll get a pop-up in Outlook and there'll be a little join button in there. If there's not, you can just open it and click on the link straight away to take you to that call. And also it will appear in the calendar section of Teams, and there's a big join button you can click. But assuming we'll have clicked the link, you'll just click the link and it'll come into the call. You can set yourself up in terms of what you want to be showing or not showing. So you can turn the camera on and make sure you're looking okay. You can make sure you're muted or not if there's already people joined. And Teams actually is really good in that it'll try and auto mute you if there's already people on it. So quite often you'll get a little message saying underneath saying you've been muted because there's already 5 people on the call. So it makes you join on mute, which is great. And the option we've got in our tenant is blur background, which you can see it's sort of use a bit of AI to pick out your head and blurs the background, which is useful if you're in the office and you don't want people walking behind you, or rather the people walking behind you don't want to be on camera and they can be blurred out. Or if you're in an office that's got some sensitive stuff on a whiteboard behind you, you can blur that out as well. So coming soon is the ability to put any background behind your head, which should be a bit of fun. We haven't got that right now at the time of recording. You can check out what settings you got with PC, mic and speakers settings. So if you plugged in any headphones or anything, you could sort that out there. And if you had any technology in your meeting room, it uses the Bluetooth, I think, to know if you're close to that meeting room, and you can add the room to the call, and then all the audio and stuff will go through the meeting room rather than through your PC. So add a room is really handy. And if you just wanted to join because you wanted to see the presentation that someone was sharing, if you didn't have a screen in the room, say, you can join audio off, and that'll just turn off both the speaker of your laptop and the microphone, which people tend to get wrong if they're doing it manually and get a lot of echo and feedback. So once you're all sorted, click join now. If there's more than one person on the call, which hopefully there won't be because we just scheduled it with myself, then you'll split the screen up into up to 4 bits. Everyone else will appear at the bottom as they join. You have got all the same stuff that we just looked at in the pre-call, so you can turn your camera off or mute yourself at any point. People seem hard to find the mute button in Teams for some reason in our organisation, but you just waggle your mouse, get these things up and then hit the mute button. And then probably the main thing you want to do when you are in a call is share some content. So if you click the share tray, there's some slightly different options than you used to if you were doing Skype for Business before. Most of the time you'll just want to share your desktop, and that's fine. That's just going to share everything that you click on so everyone can follow along. That will, if you go into your emails, people can see your emails. If you go into Teams, people can see your messages. So if you just want to share a specific window, then you can just share just that application with the window section. So if you just want to share a SharePoint, it does still work when you click and go full screen. Just to be mindful, if you share just a window and then you're connected to an external projector or monitor or TV, if you're presenting in a room, sometimes it might pick up your laptop monitor and not the one you're projecting onto if you're not connected to it already. So just bear that in mind when you're sharing. And then the PowerPoint section is I don't think that useful, but it might be just because I have got some usually quite big PowerPoint files. So what that'll do is, if it's not shared to the person that you're calling, it'll upload it for you and make it available to them. And you can skip ahead or behind the file if you're on the receiving end, or you can turn that off if you're the presenter. If you let them skip ahead or behind, they can sync back to where you are. But I found that if you've got embedded video or you've got lots of animated builds, it seems to be quite slow in updating, at least when I first tried it, and we always tend to just share our desktop now instead. And then whiteboards now generally available, so anyone can go and scribble on a shared whiteboard. If you've got a touchscreen PC, then you can draw on there, and that's all saved back to the whiteboard app if you've got that in Windows 10. One little tip: if you do have any videos playing in your presentation, or you want to share any audio, you need to remember to tick this include system audio. Otherwise, when you share that content, then no one will hear anything. It'll just be silent on the rest of the call. So if you get rid of the share tray, the only other thing that I just wanted to show you was that's relatively new, that's supposed to be US English only, is the live captions, which seems to work in a call I was on earlier. It's my enunciation is not the best, admittedly. I do mumble quite a bit, and I am British, and it thinks that it's listening for a US person, but it's still doing pretty good, I think. I've probably got UX rather than US just then. But that is useful if you're speaking to someone that's hard of hearing, or even if you're just in a really noisy cafe and the recipient's struggling to hear on the other end. Just turning that on could really help them. Just, even if it doesn't get it exactly right, they can sort of get the gist with what they've just heard, a bit of what they've heard over the noise and what's been transcribed automatically. I think that's really powerful for a free feature to do that. You can, as long as you've done a scheduled call, it doesn't let you do it with a one-to-one like chat-based call, but you can do it one-to-one if you've scheduled the call, happens to be two people on it. Either you can start recording, and that'll put a message across the top of the screen for everyone to let them know they're being recorded. You should still say that you're being recorded to avoid any legal disputes, and all of that video that you're recording gets saved down and uploaded into Microsoft Stream for you. I'll show you some options about where all that video goes and gets saved afterwards. Other stuff that is useful is showing the participants that are in the meeting. If they have not joined yet, you can, and there was other people in the meeting than just me, you can right-click the three dots next to the name and call them, so it's bringing them into the meeting. And the chat, so if you'd had any chat with the participants before the meeting, all of that would still be there. And again, I'll show you some uses for that if you schedule your meeting from Teams rather than from Outlook. But say we'd put a bit of chat in there, just to say hello to everybody. We can also do some meeting notes, which just uses a separate instance of Wiki. Meeting notes is the only thing you can bring in to a meeting. So let's just call it notes, and we'll say here is a little note from our meeting. So when we end the call, I'm going to end recording first. And then end the call. So we've done a meeting recording, we've done some meeting notes, and we've done a bit of chat. So if I then hang up, call quality was pretty good. It was just us. So you can see then all the assets, as I call them, from the meeting are saved into the chat window as a recent chat. The chat looks like a normal chat, apart from it's got a purple icon to denote that it's a meeting. And you can see who joined and when, and all the stuff that we did in there. So you can see we've done a chat. You can see we've posted into the chat tab that when we started the meeting notes, because it's set up a wiki for us. And you can see that the meeting's recording is there, and it's just, as soon as it stopped, and it's just sort of sorting itself out up to stream. And then when that's finished processing, it will appear there to play in line. If we shared any files with the meeting, then they would appear in the Files tab. And again, it works like chat in that it would be actually stored in someone's OneDrive and shared to everyone else that was on the call. Meeting notes we can see there, and that's where our meeting notes would appear. And the whiteboard, if we had any whiteboard stuff, would appear there as well. So why am I bother going through all that? Well, one, all those things are quite useful, but two, they're so useful that it's just disappointing that they're then saved back into a chat, because unless everyone on the meeting pins that recent meeting, that will quite quickly drop off the list of their recent chats, and it's quite difficult to go back to. So if we went to our calendar and found that meeting, we might then be able to say, click chat with participants and jump back to the chat. But if you had a lot of stuff that was going on at the meeting and you wanted to then scroll back through your calendar to find that meeting, that is probably something you're not going to do. And if you went to your chat, then like I say, eventually it's going to drop off the bottom unless you pin it. So you can pin anything to the top, same as a meeting. But it's just a shame that all those things are then sort of almost lost as we go through. I'll come back to the meeting recording if it's going to take a while. But the benefits of recording a meeting is that it goes up to Stream. Stream can transcribe all the audio for you and make all of that searchable. I don't know if it's different for the way we've set it up in my day job, but it doesn't automatically transcribe meeting recordings straight away, because it needs you to go into Stream and then say what language that meeting is in. I'm not sure if there's a way to sort that out with your Office 365 admin. If you know that, then let us know in the comments below. That'd be very handy to know. But I guess if you're a global organisation, you're not really going to have a default, or I guess it would be useful to default to some sort of English, either UK or US English. But once you have put the meeting in there and told it what language it is, it'll transcribe the audio for you, make all that searchable. Again, unfortunately, I don't think that's searchable in the team search, but if you did a Microsoft 365 search through the Office app or through any SharePoint site, I think all that is searchable. If you go onto Stream and go onto the meeting and click search, you're searching in that video for the text. So that's the basics of a call. I'm just going to show you a couple of other ways to set a call up. So if we jump back into the testing team, the easiest way I like to do a call is to click Meet Now at the bottom. Obviously you can meet right now, as it says, but you can click that Schedule a Meeting button at the bottom. So that just pops up a very familiar looking meeting invite. and you can put all the same details in there. You can pick a room if you wanted a room. Every meeting scheduled from Teams also puts a Teams online meeting link in for you. You can pick the times, pick the people you want to go in, and even see if they're free or not from there. Cut down sort of scheduling assistant. You still need to invite everybody. So even if you did it from Teams and you were in the team, it doesn't know that you want to invite the whole team. It doesn't assume anything. You've still got to invite everyone individually, like you might have to do in Outlook. What's not that useful is you can't, if you did have a big meeting, you can't add a distribution list, even if the distribution list is the team. So we're in the recap core project team. If I start typing recap, it doesn't let you invite the whole team, which hopefully Microsoft will sort out soon, because that would be really, really useful. But what it does do when I clicked the Meet Now button and the schedule is that it's saying select a channel to meet in, and it's meeting in the recap core project team and in the testing channel, which is the channel that we are in. So the benefits of meeting in the channel, if I just schedule that for maybe then, is that the meeting will still go to everyone's Outlook. They'll still get a normal meeting invite as they would expect. The meeting invite does come from the team, which is worth knowing, and the acceptance or declines also go back to the team, which is something we found out the hard way from a few cancelled meetings when people had declined and we didn't realise. So it doesn't, if they decline, it doesn't come back to your inbox, it comes back to the team's inbox. So if you did schedule it from the team, then you need to go into the meeting and see if people have accepted or not. And you can go in via Teams, because it tells you who's coming or not, but it won't tell you in your inbox, it won't notify you. So you can see that it's put the meeting as a post into the team, which is handy, so everybody can see there's a meeting there even if they're not invited. You can chat about the meeting with replies and keep everything a thread about that meeting before it starts, which you could do in the way we did it in Outlook, but obviously that also goes through into chat. If we had any meeting notes, that would create a meeting notes tab up here for us, so everything's sort of kept together in the team. And again, if we recorded any of the meeting, it would show as a in-thread post in line with that meeting, so keeping all the video together as well. So everything to that meeting is kept together in thread in the team. So that's the benefits of meeting in a channel. Downsides, like I say, is that it's quite difficult to invite a large number of people. And obviously, if you wanted it private from the team, you can schedule it from Outlook and it would be a private chat rather than everything getting posted into the team for you. But there's quite a lot of extra stuff you can do in Teams now versus Skype, I think. So keeping all that together in the team is really useful. So you can click Meet Now, you can do it from Outlook. The obvious other place to do it is from your calendar. And again, if we jump forwards to where we had it before, we can just click in there and it'll start a new meeting for you. It doesn't automatically meet in a channel if you do it that way, but you do get the option. You can pick from any team and any channel that you want. So if we could go and pick the exact same place, if you click Meet Now when you're in a channel, it just defaults to pick that for you. So that's a bit of a shortcut. Okay, so that's all we would usually go through for video and calling, just to get people set up. You can obviously still go through chat to do a call, or the calls, as you might imagine, just to do one-to-one direct calls, either voice or video. You can share your screen via chat without doing calls. If someone's phoned you on the phone and you need to help them out with their computer, they can share their screen with you without starting another call. And if you're in a group chat, you can click call there, and that will automatically ping everybody on the group chat. So if you've got any large group chats and you're just meant to call the person you're currently chatting with, then remember that if you do click call or video call, it's going to call everybody at the same time. So the only other thing that we go through to finish our first tutorial is to go through Planner. So we've got a few planners set up in the testing team already from some previous videos. I'll link those in the description below if they are useful. So we went through how to use Planner for meetings. If I just go through how to set up a planner and what it is. So Planner is just a group to-do app. If I just call it, I won't call it to do because it gets confusing because there's a Microsoft app called To Do. I'm going to call it Group Tasks. Sounds like a good one, just so we don't get confused. You can post to the channel about the tab when you create it, like any other tab you're going to put in. And that's as simple as it is to set up a planner. That's the most simple a planner can look. So we've just got one list, which you don't need to know about different buckets yet. We've got one bucket that just says to do, and we've got one little task card here that's waiting for us to put a task in. So if we do test task, we can set a due date. So let's put it in for Thursday, and we can assign it to me and add task. And if you just wanted to keep on repeating that, if you're in a meeting and taking lots of actions, you can do that quite quickly. Obviously, you can just enter the name and hit enter, and it will just go in for you. So you can quite quickly get out all the tasks and then go back through and assign them to people or set due dates or anything. So if you've ever used Trello before, then Planner is basically the same as Trello. If you've never used Trello before, don't worry, you don't need to know what it is. But basically each task is like a little card, and it obviously looks like a card as well. If you click on the card, it pops up a bigger view and you get some more options in there. So we'll come back to buckets, but basically you can have different lists of tasks side by side. So you could make it like a Kanban board if you wanted to. You can do not started, in progress, completed. Priorities, I think, is new since last time I used it. So you can set it as urgent, important, or just low priority. You can put a start date in if you want to get OCD about how it looked in the calendar. Put some notes in there, which was a good idea if you're assigning someone an action so that they can remember what that action is. And you can have subtasks, which is handy if you want to split out what needs to be done. And then for most sections, you get a little icon saying show on card. If I tick that, it's going to show it on the front of the card when I come out of this expanded view. So now I've put all the subtasks on the front of the card without needing to go into the card. If we had an attachment in there, which you can either paste in a link if you've got one, or you can just pick from, it says SharePoint, but you can, obviously Teams is backed by SharePoint, so you can pick anything from the team. So if we go into testing and pick our version history test file, say, then that's added a link back to the file that's in the team, so you don't need to worry about creating a different version or attaching something. It's just linking back to the version that's already in the team. And again, if I click show on card there, it's going to show a preview of that task right on the card. If I click back on the checklist, it's going to put the checklist back on the front. You can have comments that are all time-stamped, and keep a record of everything that's happened to that card, all the comments to that card at least, underneath there. You can get really granular putting labels in as well as buckets. So say we wanted a little pink label, we can tick that and you get a little pink thing there. So just before I come on to buckets, then the default is that there's no filters on and it's grouped by buckets. If you just want a normal basic Kanban board, what I've seen is people set up like to do, in progress, done as buckets. You don't need to do that because you've already got progress as a field anyway. So instead of group by bucket, just come down and group by progress, and that'll get you your basic sort of Kanban board there. Planner wherever you've got multiple views of buckets or progress or whatever you can see, it's all drag and drop. So you can see then put the in progress label for me when I drag that over. And if I click into it, it's got in progress now as well. If I click that, drag that over to completed, it's going to tick it for me. And if I drag it back, it's put it back to in progress and then back to not started. So there's loads of stuff you can filter by or group by. So if you want to group by due date, that's quite handy because it says what's coming up this week and this month or just later. You can group by labels, so obviously we just put one label in for pink. And then now you can filter by priority as well, group by priority rather, or just assign to, so you can see who's got the most amount of tasks. So coming back to buckets then, if you didn't have, if you didn't want to do in progress done, you wanted something a bit more granular, so you could have general to-dos, or you could have testing, and then I don't know, development. You can sort of use buckets to split those out as well. Whatever you want is your Kanban board, and then whatever you've got in Planner, you can do. There's some basic charts for you. You can filter everything. You can still do groups within your charts, and if you had lots of due dates, you can see those in a calendar. And you can even export everything into Excel now if you went via Planner on the web, which is just clicking the website button there, and you can export anything. If you want to get back to all of your data, it's still all there in downloadable format. But the benefits of using Planner is twofold. So one, if you do a lot of chasing, if you're a project manager and you're bored of chasing up actions all the time and no one's done them, if you assign someone an action in Planner with a due date, you know they're at least going to get 4, 5, maybe 6 notifications before that task, before you need to chase them on that task anyway. So they get one pop-up when the task is been assigned to them. So they get a ping in Teams. They'll get an email as well saying a task has been assigned. They'll get an email and a pop-up saying the week that task is due. They get a pop-up or an email probably 3 days before a task due. They get one the day before the task's due. They get one the day on the day the task is due. They'll get one the day after they haven't done it, and they'll get one 3 or 5 days after they haven't done it, on repeat for a few weeks, saying you haven't done this task. All they need to do is click the link in the email or in the pop-up, and it'll take them back to the right place, and just tick that they've done that task, and they won't get bothered anymore, obviously, if they have done the task. If they have any issues, they can obviously go into it, put some comments on and say why. They can extend the due date if they wanted to. They could keep people up to date by saying it's in progress. Or if it's not needed anymore, they can just move it to low and extend the date out, something like that. But you can keep everyone up to date on the actions using Planner. And the other thing is that if you're getting actions from quite a lot of different teams or a lot of different channels or a lot of different meetings, all with their own Planner potentially, or all, at least with all of their own actions. Before you had Planner, then people would put an actions log on an Excel document and then email that out to everybody. And obviously that's, if you're getting a lot of different versions of those from different meetings, it's up to the person doing the actions to note down what they need to do them and get back to the person, which is obviously quite admin intensive, as long as well if they've got day job stuff to do as well. If you put any action on Planner assigned to somebody anywhere in your organisation at all, it's going to feed back into their own version of Planner, which is click on the 3 dots and click on Planner, and there's a My Tasks section there, and then you can see that we've got our in progress group tasks there, and if I actually hadn't started yet, I could drag it back to not started, and that would update the main version of the Planner as well, the shared version, so everyone knows what's going on. I can see just my actions, so I don't need to go trawling through all the Excel documents that I used to do before. So that is why you should use Planner in at least one in every team you've got to do some actions. If you've got really complicated actions, a really complicated project, then obviously you might be using Microsoft Project to manage all the dependencies. I would still say planners are quite useful to just whittle down, especially if you've got some business people in the team. It's like, what do you actually want them to do? Just whittle down that project plan into something more actionable that they need to do. Put it in Planner. They've got all their actions in one place. I'm sure they've got some of the things to do as well as your project, so help them out a little bit. And then Microsoft's got a really good plan about bringing all tasks together. So what I've renamed that group tasks planner group tasks rather than to do is that there is a Microsoft app called To Do. If you've not tried it, I would recommend it for personal tasks. And basically, if you put something in Planner, it's going to feed through to people's Microsoft To Do as well. So there's no chance of them missing an action. And in Teams, actually, there's a section coming this year called Tasks, which brings Microsoft To Do and Planner all together into Teams. So you don't even have to leave Teams to get your private or group actions. They're all going to be in there, but obviously they need to be in Planner or Microsoft To Do to be pulled in. So rather than putting it on paper or an Excel file and send it out, start using Planner for actions, for group actions if you want to assign someone else. It's a good start. So that's all we would cover in our first tutorial for Teams if we're doing it in person for our organisation. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Anything else that you would cover, anything that's missing, what's been your favourite bit so far. Remember, if you have not seen parts 1 or part 2, probably useful to start there. I'll link those up in the description below. And remember, we've got new videos coming out on Teams every Tuesday, so if you haven't already, click subscribe and the bell icon. If you want the deck that goes along with our full tutorial that we've taken 3 parts to go over, then click the free download link in the description below as well. And then remember, at MeeTime, our goal is to help people save time doing mundane stuff so they can spend more time with customers, friends or family. We still think there's a massive opportunity to make meetings better in organizations, and we've got a meeting timer that helps do just that. Search for MeeTime in the iOS App Store or visit www.meetimeapps.com if you want to check it out. Thanks for watching so far, and we'll see you in the next video.